Guns, explosions, action, and seeing both Chris Evans and Ryan Gosling in one film made The Gray Man everything we could have dreamed. But now that it's over and a sequel is going to be a year or two before we see it on the big screen, in this video, we've put together 8 movies to watch if you really enjoyed The Gray Man. Let's get right into it. First up, Blade Runner 2049. If you're looking to get a little more of Ryan Gosling, who wouldn't, doing super cool action-packed stuff, then Blade Runner 2049 is the perfect film. Directed by Denis Villeneuve, it's an incredibly beautiful cinematic experience, both audio and visual.
In a very strange secret meeting where Andrew Kosovo, one of the Alcon producer, asked to meet me in a place where nobody could recognize us. In New Mexico, where and I said it's very important. It needs to be. Andrew came in a small cafe and sat in front of me and put an envelope. And on his
Gosling proves himself as a man of many talents in this one. The acting is definitely on par, we all knew that, but the film also showcases his great emotional range, which is a delight to see. Jared Leto as the villain is also pretty cool. The film takes place 30 years after the original one, and this dystopian mystery thriller follows Officer K, played by Gosling, who's an android detective for the Los Angeles Police Department searching for answers. He eventually discovers a secret that could create chaos and mayhem that has him doubting his own identity. Although the movie's pace may be a bit slow at certain times, the film makes up for it with its tone, style, visuals, and stellar performances from the cast. While The Gray Man fans may be a tad disappointed with the slow pace, Blade Runner 2049 is definitely remaining a part of this list. Up next, Upgrade. If you mixed John Wick with Venom, you'd get an underestimated hit like Upgrade. The film originally came out in 2018 and didn't make a lot of waves, but it's definitely worth a look if you enjoy action-packed thrillers just like The Gray Man. The film features an auto mechanic called Gray Trace, played by Logan Marshall Green, who receives an implant that allows his body to be controlled by artificial intelligence labeled STEM. Now, why did Trace get that implant? Well, it brought back his ability to walk. While we're not giving you all the spoilers here, we can promise you the film is full of fight sequences, actions, murder, and revenge. Everything you need to make a classic adrenaline-pumping thriller. Fun fact, during those crazy fight scenes, which you'll get to enjoy, the camera often tracks Gray so that he stays in the center of the frame. The director Lee Wannell mentioned that this was done by hiding a phone on actor Logan Marshall Green, to which the movie cameras were paired so they could actually follow it around. So cool. Let's move on to Heat. Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. Need we say more? If you're an OG fan, you know exactly what we're talking about. Yep, it's 1995 and the movie that's just hit theaters is Heat. An exhilarating game of cat and mouse like Gosling and Evans chasing each other is always fun to watch, and fans can experience a similar thrill with this particular action flick. The two legendary actors, veterans in their field, play a criminal mastermind trying to get the final score against a police lieutenant who's also dealing with the chaos in his own life. Heat takes us through a journey of intrigue, vulnerability, action obviously, and even a tiny bit of sympathy. The film will have you at the edge of your seat 90% of the time and has some phenomenal scenes that you'll definitely end up remembering. A classic thriller that'll have you surprisingly rooting for both sides. The film has crafted the right pace and a sense of proportion, the two things that have become pretty rare in hit films nowadays. Maybe a masterclass from the past is much needed. And now, Nobody. If you've seen Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad and wondered what Saul would be like if he was one of the most dangerous killers in the United States, well, you've come to the right place. Nobody follows Hutch Mansell, played by Bob Odenkirk, as your everyday family man who is thrown right back into his old and frankly terrifying lifestyle after he gets embroiled with some Russian thugs aboard a bus. Sounds like your everyday, hey, I don't want to fight you, but I will fight you action sequence, right? The movie has a bit of a slow first start, but really picks up both the pace and the plot as soon as the action starts. And it doesn't end until you see the credits rolling, which will have you going, wait, what? But in a good way. That's not something a lot of movies can do, believe us. The film was originally delayed thanks to the pandemic, but released in 2021 in a post-quarantine world of theater releases. The action is what makes this film, and we guarantee you'll enjoy this one for sure. Let's talk about Mission Impossible. Unless you're living under some kind of giant rock with no internet, we don't need to tell you what Mission Impossible is all about. This fast-paced spy thriller film was so incredibly successful that it launched a whole world of franchising, with 5 additional films and 2 sequels currently in the works. Although you could argue that a lot of the Mission Impossible films are better than the original, we'd beg to disagree, and none of those films deserve an entry in this list, other than the first. Just like Ryan Gosling's action sequences and chemistry with Ana de Armas took The Gray Man to a whole other level, the first Mission Impossible became one of the most iconic films in history thanks to its fantastic stunt work and the commitment of the legendary Tom Cruise. If there was ever an actor who was this committed to performing his own stunts, the world probably hasn't met him yet. If The Gray Man were to play smart and take some lessons from Mission Impossible, we can bet the sequels will just keep getting getting better and better. Up next, No Time to Die. Speaking about mysterious spy agents killing bad guys, Daniel Craig plays a handsome and rugged James Bond for his final appearance as the notorious 007 in No Time to Die. Compared to the last two Bond films, this one is surprisingly good and follows Bond as he comes out of short but sweet retirement to help an old friend track down the big bad guy who's got some high-tech new gear to play with. You know, just the usual. What makes this one particularly interesting is Rami Malek's portrayal of Safin, the villain, and a quick cameo from Ana de Armas as Paloma. She's really something else, isn't she? No Time to Die is the perfect conclusion to Daniel Craig's Bond era, and the film is heavy with action-packed carnage that fans of the Gray Man are sure to appreciate. The movie really pushes Bond to his limits. The man literally doesn't have the time to die, but we're kinda sad to see the debonair actor give up his 007 hat. And now, The Suicide Squad. Wait, hear us out. We're not talking about the awful movie released in 2016. This one is different, we promise. After the initial backlash in 2016, Warner Brothers decided to throw a new film at all the haters with the release of a tighter reboot called The Suicide Squad in 2021. This one is a surprisingly good one thanks to director James Gunn of the Guardians of the Galaxy fame.
You know, I just had to really kind of follow my instinct, but I did start with a giant file of all of these potential supervillains that I found from different places, from the DC wiki or, you know, comic book characters I actually knew or whatever. And then I made these these copies. What do you call it when you print up something off a printer? I don't even know what it's called. I was like a photocopy, a color copy of, pictures of these characters from the comics, and I put them all over my walls.
And some amazing performances by actors Margot Robbie, John Cena, and Idris Elba. The Suicide Squad is easily a comic book movie, and it's quite a fun one too. It manages to deliver both on the comedic and emotional fronts, with a bunch of misfit convicts taking on extremely questionable missions. The suicide mission trope may sound familiar, but the James Gunn masterpiece has some clever wit thrown in that makes this an enjoyable film to watch. If you've been debating whether to watch this reboot or not, thanks to the trauma caused by the original Suicide Squad, stop and give this one a try. Just go watch it. We're telling you, it's really good. And finally, The Nice Guys. We admit this may be a bit of a different genre than The Gray Man, but The Nice Guys is still a great experience. As an action comedy, this one is highly entertaining and will have you LOLing at the script. Set in the late 70s, the plot follows a private detective who partners up with an enforcer to dig into the disappearance of a young girl. What makes this film truly spectacular is the pairing of Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. They have great on-screen chemistry, and the film heavily relies on the comedy between two buddies caught in an impossible situation. A far cry from his role in The Gray Man, Gosling makes a fantastic detective who is incredibly incompetent at his job, making his role one of the funniest we've seen in a while. So grab that bowl of popcorn or three and get started with this marathon. That's a wrap for this video. Do you have any thoughts about any of these movies? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.